Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this unpaid, unbiased review of the SSG 747-8 for Xplane 12. Taking a quick look at this, a little bit of background for those of you unfamiliar or haven't read the description. The SSG 747 was the first module I ever bought for Xplane, and I'm going back about 4 years at this point. It was terrible. It was horrific. And then about 18 months later, they released a version 2. It was the same plane, the 747-8. It was for the same game, then Xplane 11. And I was dumb enough to pay for it because I had these old reminiscent times of the 747 by PMDG for FSX. And I was hoping, maybe they're going to get it right this time. Well, I was let down big time. Fast forward 30 months, that's 2.5 years, those of you with your maths on, and that brings us to today, right here, right now, and we are sat here on a hillside in Xplane 12. That's right, we're on the side of some mountain here in Bogota, and scenery looking pretty good. It's early morning. I will move the time around a little bit. And if we zoom in through the hill, not only do we see this massive city in South America, if I remember right, I think it's Colombia. It was one of the big drug cartel cities. And zooming in, we've got the main airport there, should just about be coming into view. And if we look centrally there, we've got the 74-8, got the cargo variant. This plane does come with both cargo and passenger variant as standard, as well as a couple of liveries, so you can tell it's the cargo because A, there's no passenger windows, but B, the nose cone does its funky little thing. It does take 2 or 3 minutes for it to go up and down, so there is that. I have not flown this aircraft for about 6 months because, well, it sucked. However, since then, there's been 4 betas, none of which I've played until today. So this is the latest beta, and I'm about to hop into the cockpit. There we go. You see, we can't see very much because this nose cone is in the way, and we're going to crack on with it. Now, I haven't got a flight plan, and the reason is, here at Bogota, we've got an interesting SID and stars. One of the big problems with this aircraft was the FMC and the way you planned your route, the way the route appeared on the MD. It was terrible. It was really bad. Just the whole way it worked was just horrific. It didn't really work, and then as you tried to sort out what was broken, eventually the module would crash. So we're going to see if any of that is different today. So yeah, another quick view outside, and like we said, I will be tinkering with the time. It's early morning here. If I just hold the keys down a bit. And the reason is I want to see what this aircraft looks like under the different lighting conditions. Now, I do like, this is a real, just a little, it comes with a little tail stand that they put on the aircraft. The reason is when they're loading this aircraft up, there could be a while where the center of gravity is off and the aircraft would tip up. So they've got a little tail stand there, so that when you're loading up the aircraft, there's no risk of a tail strike while the CG is off, which is, again, a nice little touch. But for now, let's jump in and make a start. While we're waiting for things to warm up, we'll take a look. External power is available. It does come with a little side tablet, which does not include AviTab. So if you want AviTab, you have it on your plugins anyway. I suggest binding it so that you can quickly reach it. It doesn't seem to appear on here. We will go through this menu in a bit, but suffice to say you've got your initial startups, which, I like my cold and dark. It's part of it, right? Starting up the plane. You've got your ground services, which includes your ground power unit, and here you've got your nose door. You just simply click on these to open or close them, nothing there. You've got some quick buttons here to quickly make things in place. Simplified pushback, we'll be using better pushback. Here you've got a really simplified way of loading the aircraft. It's just a weight and that's it for payload. The same again for fuel. I like to operate in the pounds. You've got an options menu here for the different volumes. And there you can see verification. We are on version 2.6 beta 4, which is the latest as of December the 30th, 2022. So between the years here. And finally, a few options. Hide the yoke on the captain's side. I've got them all off because this is how I like to roll, together with the pounds option instead of kilos. You've got your nav display heading up. I guess that's instead of track up. You've got fast IRS alignment, which, you know, I don't like on because, again, it's I like things as realistic as we can get them insofar as we can go. So back to the ground page there. So let's come up top. Battery switch on. And again, it is my first time flying this in months. And so you're going to see... The reason I didn't want to have a play around with it first and then do a video was I wanted you to see the good, bad and the ugly as I experience it without me having time to tinker around off camera and sort out the issue and then say, oh, it's amazing, wow, look at this, it's amazing. Because I fucking hate people that make channels that just say everything's amazing. Because it's almost like they've been paid to say that, right? Okay. Battery on, ground power on, standby power. Let's put that to auto. And let's have a look down here. Nav lights. Oh, by the way, just realized clicking doesn't work. It's you put your mouse button over the switch and then you roll the scroll wheel in the direction you want the switch to go. I do like that. It makes sense, providing the scroll wheel always moves the switch or the dial in the direction that you would expect. So, in other words, to get this switch from here to here, as far as I see it, is downwards. You know, from here is up, here is down on the screen. So I want to scroll the wheel down, and indeed it works. I like that. It would be nice that that was standard in all modules. It makes a lot of sense, especially when you've got buttons like this that have 3 positions. Clicking it is not helpful. Tolis, take note. You're guilty of that one. You've got switches with multiple settings and you can only left click on it. It's not good. I think they have sorted themselves out a bit with the A340, but the A321. All right, coming up top, we've got the utility buses here. Let's get them on, and then the nav IRSs. I'm going to set all of these right into nav mode, which is the same as putting them into the align mode, except as soon as the alignment is done, they automatically jump over into nav. Clever that, and has been around since, well, the old school 747, which is when they had the LTN 92, and you know what I think about that. A lot of fun. All right. Bogota, and indeed it is Colombia. Airport code Sierra Kilo Bravo Oscar, and we're going to return to there as well. So we've got the FMC. I updated all my IRAC cycles, and you can see this IRAC cycle legit as of 24 hours ago. Just using the Navigraph to do that works nicely. Okay, pause in it. SKBO, because memory's like a sieve at the minute. SKBO. And of course, right, one little thing. This speed brake handle is in the way in almost all views. Now, granted, I could move the camera like that. Now it's not in the way. But then I don't really get a good view of what's going on here. And I like to see this on the plan page. Now, there is a way around it, and that is simply we deploy the speed brake handle. And now we've got an unobstructed access to the FMC as well as the ND. That isn't going to hold water when we're in flight. So, I don't know. Be nice just that there was some little way around that. Just saying as I see it. Right, SKBO. In we go on the ref. And we get the position of the airport. Here we've got the GPS position. We see they almost match, and that's because, of course, we're not necessarily smack bang center of the airport. And if you take a look on the map view, that does make sense. we are slightly off to one side. I'm guessing the airport coordinates are always based on literally the center, although I don't know that. I'm just guessing it would make sense. So of course we're going to roll with the GPS because that's more precise. Gate number, I'm going to leave that blank. Coming over to the route page, we will be returning, so I'm going to click SKBO. That grabs what's there into the scratch pad, which is exactly what you'd expect, and I'm going to click into the destination, and that fills through, which is nice. Now, despite me tinkering around with the time just so we can experience the different times of day and see what the lighting looks like, let's just wind it into night mode. See what the cockpit looks like at night. Dome light a bit bright, so let's turn that down. Still looking a little bit bright. Turn it down more. There's got to be some other sort of light here, and yeah, don't forget we are in the cargo variant. What we got here, let's just tinker around. That seems to be doing the backfill. Let's do the big one. What's that doing? Not immediately obvious. Map light. Okay, so a lot of these dials are on by default, which is let's take me a light. Got the ECAS upper and lower. I'm looking to dim this down, and I will find it. Circuit breaker overhead. Do they call that the circuit breaker? I guess it's both circuit breaker and the overhead. Right, glare. It's going to be one of these ones, so let's turn the big one down. It's not doing it. What about the little one? Still not finding it. Oh, there we go. You just got to turn it all the way down. There is still some light there. All right, turn the little one back up. And let's turn this one down. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So it's the big one there that turns this down. All right, so there are a host of lighting customization options. You can dial this up to your heart's content and make it look, you know, however you like. It's now, can we make obvious what that big one is for? Not obvious what this big one's for. I'm not seeing it. First officer's got his own map light, which is nice to see, and that big light as well that, again, is not obvious. All right. We've also got a storm switch here. I assume that sets it up for thunder and lightning, and it does. Turns everything on so that you know, don't get as blinded when it's thunder and lightning. All right, fair enough. Let's carry on then. So SKBO. Runways, for that I need to grab the weather. And do we got ATIS? 127.8. Let's see how the radios work on this. Here we see the VHF. 127.8. I do like when you can type in digitally. It makes it very quick to tune stuff in. Activate that. I assume these are the volumes for the different left, center, and right. Now, was that already 127? Ah, I know. Look at that. We've got left and right channels, and both radios have got access to both. I like that. So we've got left and right access as well as your standbys on each. So you could just use your radio and have access to 2 channels on the go and 2 on standby just on your side, which is really nice, especially when you're on VATSIM and there's a bunch of controllers that you need to hand through. Transponder, let's roll with 5153. If you've been here before, I'm sure you'll have seen me roll with that one. ATIS, I'm not hearing it yet. 127.8. There we go. Okay, seen it. I thought you had to pull them out and they lit up. It's not. You've got to push them in and you get a little green light. Okay. Mic button doesn't work. Maybe it's set to transmit the whole time. All right, while we're waiting for that then, Let's load up the aircraft, see how that works. We're just, again, even though we're coming back round, we do want some weight in. So we've got payload. Now, what is the maximum payload that we can take? Answer, I don't know, but I assume it's not going to let us overload it. So let's hit the 10. This is a very rudimentary way of loading. It's 10s, 1s, and 0.1s, and you just press it and it's going to add up. I'm just going to see if I can... All right, so there's the max, 305.8, so it won't let you overload. Okay, let's not go max, but let's go, you know, make it worthwhile calling the 747. Let's go for 250. We hit load and unload, and yeah, it's just a very basic, not an instantaneous load, but it's, you know, basic, rudimentary. All right, coming over here to the fuel page then. You can see there the CG rolling back as the weights are going in. Let's go with, and we are in pounds, I'm going to go with 100,000 pounds. Now look at that, CG is in the red, so I'm wondering now, and I'm not sure if the weight is forward or backward. Now, am I mistaken, or is they've actually put something in? Oh, look at that. They've actually put cargo in. I was not aware of that. Looks like we've actually got a jet engine here. Let's make it daytime again so we can... Yeah, look at that. A jet engine and a whole bunch of cargo. All right, so that's a nice little touch that there's actually stuff in there. Granted, you're not going to be looking in here too much. And there we can see, of course, the nose cone wide open. It's a nice little touch. Okay. Back over here. Fuel, so 100,000. So let's load that. And what's happening to the CG? Now it's rolling slightly forward again, I'm guessing. Or is it aft? I forget which way around it is. I think the lower the number, the more forwards the CG is. But perhaps somebody who knows for sure would like to correct. There we go. We're out the red. That's all that matters. And I guess it's going to load the tanks in the way that is most beneficial for the CG. All right. And it is just like the old school 747. So you've got tank 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you've got the 1 reserve on the tip. You've got the 4 reserve on the tip. And then you've got the center tank, which is not used unless the others. This looks like it could hold, and forgive the expression, a ton of fuel. And we've already got about 50 tons in, so how much more can it actually hold? 401,000 pounds of fuel, which is, I mean, imagine running your car on that. You'd have enough fuel for your entire life, and then for your friends and family for their entire lives. I mean, yeah, I don't think you'd get through that single-handed. All right, let's close up outside. I'm going to press that button mistakenly a lot because Avitab, I'm used to it being in here. And my 9 on my pad is always to look at me Avitab. Again, I'm used to Avitab being here. But because there is no Avitab built into this, it's the shortcut. Right, let's close the nose cone. And the doors... We'll get rid of the tail stand. I am going to leave ground power connected because we've not got that. And if you listen carefully, I guess it's kind of hard to hear with the avionics, but there is like a... And that is the nose cone. There you can hear it. And then you can see how long it takes. Now, this is nothing new. This has been like this for a while. I say for a while. As far as I'm aware, for as long as the SSG 74 has been out. So far, I've not seen anything that really jumps out at me as new. It was always a really good looking model of the 74-8. Now, the Cathay Pacific Cargo, I think, is a crap livery. Let's be honest. It's a horrible green and just boring, and, you know, let them do what they want. And it is the livery that comes with it. Now, these engines look amazing. These are like the, what they call them, the CFM leaps on the Airbuses, the real nice ones. They call them the Gen X's on these. Very nice looking engine. We'll have to see how they look and sound when it gets going. By the way, Xplane settings are turned up, and this module, I'm not sure it was always as tanked the frame rate as much as it does, but if you take a look, where are we there? Frame rate is about 30, 34, 28 frames a second. In the tow list, I've got 60 frames a second. Now, granted, I have got real weather on with, some interesting clouds, and we are in a very large city, highly detailed area, lots of terrain. Does that have something to do with the frame rate? I don't know, and if it does, it's 5. Look at the state of that one solitary building. I actually moved the camera there earlier on. It take too long to do now. Just to put myself at top and have a look at the view. Very nice view. Whatever that building is, perhaps somebody can let us know. It's yeah, you see, there's not too many massive high-rises. There are a lot of buildings here. I mean, it is a huge city, but there is this one massive high-rise that stands far out and above all the others, slightly removed from the others. Yeah, so perhaps somebody can let us know, A, what the building's called, and B, I'd love to know how many stories are in there, how many levels. All right. Doesn't seem like we are getting any ATIS information through. 127.8, let's just confirm. 127.8 is what it is. So I'm just going to cheat, and to do that, we'll change mode here. We'll refresh. And no weather information. Okay, that is probably why we've got no ATIS. Well, the way to get around that then, especially if you've got no flight plan, which we don't, is, okay, there are these random little pauses, and sometimes I'm dragging and it doesn't move. Maybe you've noticed. See the elevation, 8,358 feet above sea level, so it's a high altitude airport. I'm going to dial my pressure round to more or less match that. By the way, that is not fault with the module. That is some sort of Xplane-ism. Sometimes they don't always get the ATIS for every airport all the time. I'm not sure why that is, if they've got a dodgy connection. See, altimeters 3039. Next thing we're going to do to figure out which runway we're going to use is come outside, and we're just going to hunt around the airport for a windsock. They will usually have one near the runways. Somewhere. Like there was that little pause. Don't know if that's to do with the 7.4 or to do with Xplane, but really, the random little pauses in XP12 have been all but ironed out in my experience. So I'm thinking it could be the 7.4, but I don't want to blame it. All right, there's a windsock, and we can see a light, basically, well, what would you call that? Very, very light winds blowing from the direction that we're in that direction. The winds are so light, it's not going to warrant us doing a massive backtrack all the way down there. So I think we're just going to go with runway 32 right on departure. And so let's start getting the aircraft powered up under its own right. So we've got APU. Real simple start. Look at this. On and start switch. I'm guessing you don't even have to wait for the door to open on this one. Just before I do spin the switch, and there's that little pause again. Very annoying. I'm wanting to put this page, where are we? Here we go. I'm looking down here because I'm used to the Airbus, but on the 7.4 they're here. Do we got flight controls, ECS, which is, that looks like your environmental control system. Fuel page, we've got 100.1. The electrics, the engines, which are not running. Hydraulics, which are not yet running. Doors, gear. Looks like they've got tyre pressure and temperatures for the brakes and whatnot simulated. Info page, which looks blank. We've also got a checklist, which we will take a look, and nav, which doesn't seem... And there is the cancel and recall button, which is kind of lost there. I'm used to having a big recall in front of me, but it's here. So stat page, and here we see the APU. So it is kind of buried away a little bit. We see APU EGT N1, N2, and just really no readings because we're not running them. So let's have a look while we turn this on. So APU on start and back down. And we see the EGT right away jump to 13, which is basically the static air temp you see there at plus 12. And now we see it all rising as APU cranks up. Let's have a listen. I'm aware there's some ambient airport sound, but that is easily one of the better sounding APUs. I've heard some terrible APU sounds. It's like you get some module maker that's spent, I don't know how many hundreds of thousand, or sorry, not 100,000, but hundreds, if not thousands of hours on a module, depending how big the team is. And then they make the APU sound like a vacuum cleaner, or worse. We've got the little heat blur, which is very, standard on all aircraft these days on Xplane 12. But again, always nice to see that they have bothered with it. But yeah, I'm pleased with that. Very nice. All right, inside. So now what do we see? Well, we see the EGT is stabilized. N1 is 100. N2 is basically 100. And so now if I come over to the electrics page, what do we know? We've got external 1 and external 2. Looks like they have automatically been disconnected now that the APU is up and running. And we've got what looks like a bus tie here that is not enabled. Where is the bus tie? Or is it automatic and it's just not going to tie it? Well, everything there says auto. So I assume... Here we see now, yeah, external power 1 and 2. It's available, but it's not on. We see the APU gen 1 and 2 is on. I don't know if there are 2 APUs or if there's just one APU that's got 2 generators attached to the same APU. I do not know. Right, flight number, let's just make one up. 444, that'll do. Runway, we have decided, because winds are light, we're going to go with 32 right, so we'll plug that in. 32 Romeo, bang. We are on plan mode here. Not yet seen anything. Could that be that the systems are not yet aligned? Could be. Alright, page 2. So this is going to be your route page. Because we're not doing one, I'm just going to put one waypoint in, and that waypoint is going to be on the end of a SID. And so departures, let's have a look for something. Wrong direction for that, for our one. Wrong direction again. This one will do. Alright, so 3-2 right, which is going to be this one. We'll take off this way. We'll come round. We'll swing around this way. It looks interesting. We've got a couple of restrictions on the way out, which is all part of the test. Crossing over this VOR. Soasha. I don't know, I'm butchering it. Coming over here, the Zipaquira VOR, and then on to, let's have a look. This one's closer, so we'll end up at the Bouvis VOR. So that's going to be my one waypoint, I think. Bouvis. BUV, bang that in there, and that's in. Okay. Going back round now, let's have a look on the arrivals page, and I am going to get the machine to try and follow these SIDS and stars without nursing it. That's all part of it. Now this looks like an interesting arrival in. Again, these little pauses, love to know who's behind it. We've got Grude, capital G, so G-R-U-D-E, and that's going to be it for my route. And we'll follow the SIDS and stars from there on to... By the way, the arrival is going to spit us out, assuming it works, at Anvers, Alpha Mike Victor Echo Sierra. And then if we come onto the approach page, we can come in on 1-4 left or find, I'm not sure if this, I tell you what, let's not be boring and just pick an ILS that goes from Anvers right in a straight line. Let's see if this thing can handle RNAVs, and we want something with a bit of creativity. Now this is from the wrong direction, but it's the right sort of idea. NP X-ray. This'll do. So there's Anvers. That's where our star's going to spit us out on. And then we will come through around here and land. I like it. It looks good. We'll see if the system can handle it. That is the plan. All right. So with the route in, let's come over to the depart and arrival. Departing, as we've discussed, 3-2 right. And that's going to present us with suitable SIDS. And as we've discussed there, we want to be on this SID here, the Zipaquara 4 Delta. So page 2, page 3, there's the Zip 3 Bravo. We want the 4 Delta. There we go, the Zip 4 Delta. In we go. I'm trying to click it. There we go. And then we've got the two options for the transition, which is grey, acrob, and buv. And we, of course, go into buv, as we've said. Okay, so far this has operated nicely. I don't know what's happened with the preview there, because there ain't one. But let's exec. Let's come over to the legs page and step through. And zoom in. So there's going to be our departure point. TP, TP, Bravo Oscar 620, Bravo Oscar 620. That looking pretty good. That's looking a pretty good, nice, close match. That comes all the way over here to BUV. Then there's a disco. And then it's back there. So what's happened to our one waypoint that we put in? Remember, after BUV, we had that one waypoint. What was it? It was Grude. We typed that in. And it's gone missing. So there's an example already of... Oh, there it is. So you step through, but it ignores page 3 on the step. Why? You'd step through. Normally that should go through to Grude, but it doesn't. Okay, so there you can see they have... There's still work to do. So I'm going to go over to page 3. I'm going to select Grude. I'm going to come back to page 2. I'm going to select, put it in there, exec. Now it's rigged up. Brilliant. Right, Grude then, we're on to the arrival, and we've got a couple of options here. Let's just come straight down to save a little bit more time. So we've got an option between the Grude 4 Tango or the 4 Sierra, and that is gonna depend on, I guess, what's going down here. 4 Tango, 4 Sierra. do we see any kind of option? Here we go. So for runways 14 left and right, we need the 4 Tango, and for runways 32 left and right, we need the Sierra. And we said we were coming in on this one, the 32. And so for 32, it's going to be the Sierra. So the Grood 4 Sierra. So depart, arrive. The arrivals. Now, is this one of these finicky ones where you've got to either select the star or the approach first, or does it just let you do either? I don't see why one should preclude you from the other unless you select an approach that rules out a star, or you select a star that rules out an approach. That makes sense, but let's find out. So it was the Grood 4 Sierra. Let's see if it works. Grood, well, there's the 4 Tango. There's the Grood 4 Sierra. So they're not even in alphabetical order, so just be aware of that. Grood 4 Sierra, in we go. Transition. Well, it's just Grood. Once again, the the preview just completely vanishes. Wow, look at that for a range. 640. And worthless all the way out. All right, Grood. Transition Grood. And the approach. We want the RNP 32 left X-ray, which is also going to be listed as RNAV. RNAV 32 left X-ray. There we go. So it's going to be this one. And then via. And I think we did say Anvez. 32 left X-ray Anvez. It's got to be this one. Let's exec that. Whoa. Let's have a look then. Let's see if they've got it. Because this was always where this module really fell apart. Like, just unusable. I mean, it looks like a right mess, but that's because we've got a complicated sit and start on top of each other. At least I think. Now, once again, why is there this discontinuity? We cleared that discontinuity out, if you remember. So why has it reappeared again? All right, let's select Grood. Let's go back. Let's clear out the disco. Exec. Let's step through. So there's our departure. And then Buv was the end of the departure. Grood was our first point on the arrival. Now, the fact it don't go all the way up there and back is not a mistake. I don't think it's because they've got to smooth out the turn. Usually when you've got a turn that's above about 100 degrees, what happens is the FMC, rather than trying to do this, it'll actually fly over the point and then perform the turn like a teardrop. Again, it's about when it's over 100 or 115, I forget the exact angle. But anything like up to 90, it will smooth out the turn. But anything over about 100 and some, it'll actually fly over the point and then do the turn. It's just the way the RNAV FMC stuff works. So this is a mistake. But it is smoothed out. Right, now coming back, let's see if this matches up. So there's the 951. We see there's a 230 or above. And that is in there, 230 and the A for above. Step through, we've got a 220 or below and a 270 knot restriction on the 804. 804, 270, 220 or below with the blue line above. So far this is looking really good. Then we've got a few 18,000 things at 250. They're all in. We've got this nice little arc built in that is around here all the way to Top Key. Now here's one of these little things where it's gone, in my opinion, a little bit P-tong. Look at this. We've got this crazy little thing here. Could it be that it thinks we're big and it's never going to manage this turn? I don't know. We will have to see how LNAV handles it. Again, I don't want to just disconnect and manually fly it or spin the head in. Part of this module was basically not usable online because of its inability to do anything, right? BO855, and then that rigs on through to Amvez, which is here, which is nice. Then Amvez rigs on through to 710. Bang. And then this little arc here, which, once again, the depiction leaves a little to be desired. Bravo Oscar 700 looks way out of position. Or the 7 something here does not look right. This looks like a love heart or some sort of arse sat at a 45-degree angle. Not like this. In any case, let's see how it happens. We have reviewed it. It does seem to be in there. See, we've got the speeds. We've got glide path angle here of -3. It's all in there. And then we've got the missed approach stuff as well. Okay. Init page then. Let's see how we do here. Plan. Well, there is no plan, so let's just make some numbers up. Let's put 30,000 in. Invalid. All right. 0 fuel. Can I just click that? No, I cannot. So for 0 fuel weight, I guess we can... I guess you don't put the plan in because it's not boxed. I'm going to guess you only fill in the boxed ones. So let's have a look. 0 fuel. We've got 670.8. Let's see if that works. 670.8. In you go. Invalid entry. All right, what about 671, which is that rounded off? Also doesn't work. Starting to get frustrated. Reserves. 55. Right, that's working. We do got a gross weight totalizer here of 770.7. 770 points. Okay, so without filling anything in, it already knows the gross weight. So what the rest of it... Why it wants you to fill in weights when it already knows? Nobody knows. Cruising, it's suggesting we fly at basically 34,000. Now... Hey, look at that. When the ND flicks over to its other kind of mode, that looks correct. And then for some reason it flicks and it goes incorrect. Again, I'm not pressing anything. It's just flicking between the two. Let's come over to the map view. One of the things I think they added on here, yeah, there, look at that. You can zoom right in and you actually get a view of the airfield, which I really like. Nice touch. Now, does that pull it in from your Navigraph or somewhere else? I do not know. I, of course, do have Navigraph, so I cannot say if you would see something like this without Navigraph, but it's nice to see either way. All right, cruise height is going to be based on... Let's have a look. We need to be at or above... well, 210. Anything else here? At or below 220... At or above 240. All right. Now, Grood on the departure 240. So we'll put in I think we'll go flight level 250. And we'll see how the autopilot copes with all of that. Cost index. No need to hang around. Let's go 125. Min fuel temp minus 35. Not sure what that is for. A cruise CG. Now I'm going to click. No, it wants me to type something in. I think payload CG. Let's just try 10.2. I don't know if that's what it means. 10.2. Now we've got an insufficient fuel notification. 10.2. No, it's oh, I see. It's not boxed again. We've just got the 0 fuel weight. 670. 671 and 670.8. And again, all right, so I've done that to death. Doesn't work. It is boxed. SSG, sort your shit. This is, by the way, this is a module that is coming up on 3 years since release. So the fact it's in beta is only because of Xplane 12. Shit like this should have been sorted out. Right, thrust limit for the takeoff. Although we don't got that much fuel on board, we are quite heavy cargo-wise, and we are very high above sea level, as we've discussed. It was something like 8,350 odd feet. So I'm not going to derate. We'll see what the engines can do. We'll come over to the takeoff page. It's a 7.4. Why do we keep getting this insufficient fuel? We've got 100,000 pounds of fuel. Yeah, it's a 7.4. It's a flaps 20 takeoff. CG, it's going to give us a trim. We've got the ref numbers here, so that's real simple. You just put in the flaps and it's going to give you your refs. V1 49, rotating on 162, and if it all goes wrong on departure, it's 171. Pop that in there. These speeds look like they are on here as well, which is great. All right, legs page your side, and that seems to be working. An initial climb. Well, we've got the restrictions in all the way, so my initial climb is going to be what we'd set for the flight, which was 25,000. Why are we still getting these random insufficient fuel? I tell you what. Let's reduce the reserves down to 40, see if that stops our thing. All right, 25. So I'm going to put 25 straight into the window, and I think I have. Yes, I have. That's much quicker. And then that is going to enable me to see, or enable us to see how well the LNAV VNAV complies with all the shit which we're going to monitor on departure, because again, Bogota's one of those SIDS and stars with a bunch of restrictions. Alright then, APU is up and running. It's on bus as we've discussed. Let's set these to auto. Very good. Fuel pumps. I'm just going to press the ones that actually say press. What we got here, anti-ice not required, lights as is for now. APU, looks like the bleed is on by... Oh no, it's not on. It was just dimmed. Now the APU bleed is on. I was going to say it shouldn't really be on by default, and it wasn't. So if you see it on like this, it's not on. It needs to be like that. All right, let's just run packs 2 for now. And I'm listening out. All right, so can just about hear something when we turn high flow on. Fair enough. All right, let's leave that as is. I have forgotten if the 74-8 is automatic when it comes to shutting the packs off during an engine start. You know, like the Airbus, it shuts your packs off automatically, disconnects it from your APU bleed. You don't got to worry about it. And the Boeings, typically, you had to manually disable your packs. We're going to see which way round this is, because I have completely forgotten. Let's give it... let me just see if I have got my... where are we? I wanted to see if I've got my little camera set up on the side. Give you some sort of idea what I'm doing, but... I guess not. Never mind. Never mind. Alright, APU is on. And everything there is taken care of. So if we come over where we hear ground services, we should be able to disconnect. Now, do we see... The spoilers have come up. Remember, we needed that up out the way. So let's fold that. I assume they only came up once I enabled the pumps here. Don't quote me on it though, because we didn't check. But I assume they did. Alright, I'm not actually seeing the ground power unit, even though it is saying it's connected. I'm not seeing it. Alright, let's disconnect. What we got here? Release brakes to engage pushback. Well, we're going to use better pushback. And we'll push ourselves... Actually, you know what? Probably with it being a 7.4, they would want you there. So when you start your engines up, you're not going to destroy this building.
Ground to cockpit. Can acknowledge. Coming through the menu when you are ready.
We are ready.
Ground to cockpit. Tau is driving up.
I really do like the different accents they've put in on the better pushback. Just adds that little bit of a something. Well, so far, aside from the frame rates being half what is typical, granted the 7.4 Classic chews through the frame rates as well. But again, the Tolis, the Zebo 737, you know, I can play those at 60 frames a second, even on the stream at 2560, 1440.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
And things are maxed out, so it's, yeah. Alright, so you got two independent NDs, which is nice. We can put different ranges, two separate FMCs, which really should be the standard, but there's so many modules that don't. Why is auto brake on RTO by default? Should be off, surely. Or at least, Alright, so this guy's getting ready to push. There he goes, lifting up the nose wheel, because he's big and strong. And we're going to turn beacon. We've got the lower option.
And bypass being inserted. Release parking brake.
Or we've got both. Can somebody tell me if you can know it? Leave it in the comment or whatever. Is there ever a reason you would only want the beacon on the lower side but not on both? I'm going to set it on both, and again, it's a mouse wheel, which makes sense. Now, he's ready to push us back. Just before I release parking brakes, there are some chocks here, and it wasn't obvious to me who was responsible for those chocks. Could it be this? I've hit it. Okay, so what looks like an orange power button is the button for the chocks. Let's release parking brakes.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Thank you. Let's see if the ND stays looking reasonable during the pushback. Sometimes it's one of them that goes a bit crazy. Alright, engines start. I'm going to try starting it without disabling the packs. We'll see if that's automatic or not. We've already got the fuel pumps on. We got the starter switches here. We've got the fuel cut-off valves here. Let's just try setting... I don't know, let's start number 4. Pull the button out. And let's get the engines on the ND. N2 is rising. Is it rising enough and quick enough? Well, oh, it's going a bit quicker now. Oops. So it's this one here. We're starting 0 obvious rotation on the N1, which is the front. Now we're through 27, so let's put fuel on. And we do got some sort of ignition. Better push back, what are you doing? Oh my goodness, look at this. What is going on? Right, I'm going to stand on my brakes. Pull the parking brake on. Plug-ins, better push back. Stop, 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 stop. And... Oh my goodness. I've told him to stop. I've got my brakes on and he's trying to twist the nose gear off. Again, guys, all stuff I want you to see here. Is this a fault with the 7-foot? Well, I have never seen any other module. Better push back, do this. Let's release the brakes again. I can actually twist the nose wheel steering myself. All right, I need to match nose wheel steering what this... Okay, so there is no nose pin removal. SSG, get on it.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
When this guy is plugged in, he puts in a pin to prevent nose wheel steering. And look at this. I've got full nose wheel steering authority. Should not be able to happen. By the way, really like the... body gear steering, so and we've got one engine up and running, number 4. All right, parking brake set.
Tinto, stand by.
All right, I'm going to try and start these by turning the fuel control switches on and then seeing if we can pull these that way. So we didn't have to turn the packs off, it did it by itself. Let's start 3 and 2. And we've got auto start, auto start. Can we also start 1? Let's pull it and find out. Let's tell the ground guy to bugger off. And there's your answer, no. So you try and start a third one and it looks like the auto start falls apart. So let's get rid of that. Just leave 2 and 3 pulled out. Is that going to resume the auto start? Answer, no. Let's get rid of them all. Let's try number 1 by itself again.
Tower is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. And signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Alright, bugger off. You were terrible. Look at this. Cabin is being pressurized even though we're still on the ground. Landing now 8,358 feet, which we know is right. Come on, auto start. Doesn't seem to be doing its thing, even though it did for the first time. So maybe it is one where you've got to put fuel in basically when they're ready to go. So let's try it again. Let's go for number 3. N2 is rising. Interestingly that it says auto start and does nothing of the sort, but now with it like this, looks like it's rising quite happily. Fuel in. Now we've got an auto start coming on. We see GT is rising. Some of the best looking engines I have seen in the game, in any game, I have to say. It really does look like the CFM Leaps or the Pratt and Whitneys for the Airbus Neos. All right, back inside. And we've got running. All right, let's try dual start then. 2 and 1, pulling them out. And again, we'll put fuel in once we see N2 up to about 25, which is the Boeing way, right? don't say you can only start one engine at once on this 7.4. I must be... It don't feel right to me, but... Okay. We got APU bleed and engine bleed. Now, could it be that the packs are on, and if you've got packs on, you can start one? Maybe if I turn the packs off, you can start two? Well, do you know what? Rather than me going on about it, let's turn the packs off. Try again. There's an out there, is there? Alright, let's disable them. Number 2 by itself. Oh, now why aren't you going? I bet there's like a minimum cool-off period or something. Who knows? Alright, packs. By the way, with the packs off, let's just see, is the cabin... Yeah, look at that. Cabin altitude is rising. Because there's nothing that, there's no packs providing air into the cabin, and so it's ever so slightly leaking out by about 120 some feet until the ambient outside pressure, which is about 300 feet. So that's nice to see. So pack 1 on, or rather just 1 pack is what I'm trying to say. And you can see it is pressurizing the cabin just off 1 pack. I was just wondering if I turn it to high, not doing it any quicker, even though we hear that there's more air, which is, again, I'm not expecting module makers to have gone to that sort of length of detail, but it's nice to see. While I'm trying to wait for this, let's try engine number 1 then. Why aren't you starting now? What's the problem? Engine 1 bleeds, engine 1 shut down. Yeah, we know it's shut down. Let's check that we do got fuel. We got fuel. Come on. What we got here? Manual altitude control. Now I think we've got it all. Fuel jettison panel, which is not what we want. What we've got main here. Main armed. I guess that's the cargo fire suppression stuff. So a lot of this is completely automated. It would seem like window heat and whatnot. It just seems it's waiting for the right amount of power from the right source, like the engines or whatever, to come on. Throttles. I do not have my throttle plugin. I've only got 2 throttles, and I used to have that plugin that basically what it did was it took your left throttle as one input, it took your right throttle as another input, and if your plane had more than 2 throttles, it would average out all the in-between. So if I moved my left lever up, this one would go up, and then all the others would be like an average in between, which is kind of what you'd want, right? And I don't have that because the plugin is so old now. I just didn't risk it with Xplane 12. So here again, what's the problem? Why are we not getting any starts on 1 and 2? I'm just going to roll those up to increase bleed pressure. Does it actually show us something like that on here? We've got the duct PSI down there. APU bleed is on. Well, this is a bit of a SSG. What? Let's have a look. Park cold and dark. Parked all right. What is the problem? Do we? Let me just check that we ain't got any failures that are fix all. Let's set to run. Ah, do you know what I'm... For fuck's sake, man. What? Parked, cold and dark, parked, powered and IRS is aligned, parked, all switches off. You're gonna get me, Right, well, this video's going well, ain't it? It's my review of this is gonna be what you see, and I wanted you to see the kind of bullshit that is or not was associated with this. I was really hoping we were going to be able to fly a nice hidden star, and instead I feel like I've wasted everyone's time, including my own, because SSG can't get 4 fucking engines to start without it fucking up. And with that, that's going to be the end of the fucking stream. SSG, sort it fucking out. It's a bag of